Welcome back to the Research Talks from Stockbox with Alan Green. Hi, Alan.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yes, very good. Thanks. Very good. Thanks. So I decided today, in the last hurrah for autumn 2020, to put a pair of shorts on. Summer's blazing away in the sky. Although we've had a few showers this morning, but it's nice and warm. So I thought, nope, I'm going to put shorts on. And if it's the last day of the year, I'll wear shorts. So be it. But I've the legs are out one more time. So there you go.
Well, good on you. Yeah, good on you. Maybe you see these postmen, don't you, going around? Some of them go through the whole winter. It's like a challenge, I think. The last one to put trousers on.
Mind you, the distance that postmen walk in a day. Some of those guys walk up to 10 miles a day. So I think if you've got a bag of letters on your back and you're walking at speed, which these guys do, it's the healthiest job in the world, really, isn't it?
You don't often see a fat postman, do you? Eh?
That's true. If you go to the sorting office, you occasionally see the odd fat one sitting there. Yeah. Anyway, let's not go there.
No.
We're becoming very politically incorrect. So.
Yes, let's go. Let's carry on with our purpose. So today you're going to be telling us about Power Metal Resources and Red Rock Resources as well. So did you want to start with Power?
Yeah, I'll start with Power, and there's a project in Australia that I think but by now everyone that's listened to the podcast will be aware of the immense progress that's been made by Power Metal Resources. But one of the core projects in the group is the joint venture with Red Rock Resources in Australia. So what I'm going to do for Power Metal purposes, I'm going to gloss over that. Then I'm going to go into detail on the Australia project when I get to when we start talking about Red Rock. So we spoke about Power Metal, I think, a few weeks back, and why talk about it again? Because the progress is incredible. And Mark, I know you spoke to Paul Johnson yesterday. I spoke with Paul earlier in the week, and he's living, eating, breathing, and sleeping. Well, he's not actually getting much sleep, I don't think, because this company has absolutely. It's delivered a stellar performance for investors already in the past few months, and really we are still right at the beginning of this journey, and I think it's incredibly exciting. So I'm going to go through each project and just discuss where each project is, and then obviously we can look at metal prices as well and get some idea of the potential that's in the ground. Just on the data front to start with, Power Metal is currently trading at just on 2p. That gives it a market cap of just over 16 million. Of course, it's been as low as 0.18 on the year, and as high as 2.55 pence. So that was early this week. The company has a project, a joint venture in Australia in the Victoria region with Red Rock Resources. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to talk about that joint venture. Power Metal own 49.9%, and Red Rock Resources own 50.1%. So they are just the majority shareholder, but it's very much a joint venture. And of course, as we know, with the Power Metal board, Paul Johnson is the CEO. He said to me, "Alan, I'm an accountant," and I said to him, "Well, you're not really, Paul. You're a lot more than that, because I think anyone in his position that has the vision to bring these projects together, that's it's a huge challenge. And he's a family man, and I know it's taking up every waking hour, but most companies have a project, and they'll report and say, yes, we're at a really exciting juncture, and drilling's underway, and we expect to get some assay results to get back to the laboratory very soon. Well, Power Metal have that with 6 or 7 different projects, and each project is at a pivotal juncture. And if you look at, I've just been looking at some of the metals prices this morning, and of course we've seen gold, push on well over $2,000. It's come back. It's currently trading just over $1,900 an ounce. Silver's had a stellar year, just under $25 an ounce at the present. Platinum, that's had a strong year. $879 per ounce. And then we come on to the base metals. Nickel, of course, is $15,000 a ton, for $15,700 a ton. But a lot of the base metals have come back. Lithium, of course, has come back quite strongly at $39,000 per ton, down from $160,000 per ton in 2018. So there has been an awful lot of movement. Iron ore, of course, we've spoken about this regarding other companies. Of course, Cadence Minerals project, well, it's not a project, it's a huge iron ore mine in Brazil, in the northeast region of Brazil, and that's currently just under $120 per ton. So the commodity markets are incredibly buoyant at the moment, an awful lot of movement and activity in them. So for Red Rock, I'm going to start with the 3 separate projects in Botswana. Now,
power.
This is Power Metal Resources. Sorry, Power Metal Resources. 3 separate projects in Botswana. We have the Kalahari Copper Belt project, and of course the Kalahari Copper Belt is a joint venture with Kavango Resources. Power Metals owns 50% of the Kalahari Copper Belt project, located north of Botswana, and it's just south of Sandfire Resources' Dome copper and silver discoveries a few years back. The project area covers some 1,400 square kilometers, and exploration results have been sort of positive. Soil sampling has been undertaken for drill targets, and Kavango is currently working on bringing up modelling data and developing and determining drill targets for this area. But it again, that's a huge area, nearly 1,400 square kilometres, and this is predominantly copper and silver. I mentioned the silver price just now. Been incredibly buoyant year for silver, copper likewise. The second project in Botswana is a rare earths project. Been an awful lot of movement in the lithium price and the platinum and palladium prices this year. The Botswana Ditau project again is a 50-50 joint venture there, and there are 2 licenses covering nearly 2,000 square kilometers. 3 licenses. 2 licenses covering 1,400 square kilometers. Looking at the wrong line there, and an orientation study is underway there to determine targets and determine the next steps for the company to take. This is. That there were some carbonite ring structures which were identified some years ago by a mining company, and up to 10 of these ring structures have been identified at Ditau Camp as potential hosts to rare earth. And of course, in regard to reselling anything that's eventually gets out of the ground there, of course we've got this surge in the battery market, in the lithium-ion battery market for the electric vehicle industry and a multitude of other applications, and of course we're hearing talk all the time of these battery gigafactories being set up around the world to develop these new batteries. So of course this is where these rare earths will come into their own. And then probably the most prolific project at present, again in Botswana, this is the Malopo Farms Complex project, which is a nickel and copper project. And nickel has had a very strong year in terms of its commodity performance. Currently, as I said, worth just under $16,000 a ton. 3 licenses have been identified here and multiple drilling targets have been identified from EM surveys and also ground soil sampling and physics. And great excitement the other week. Drilling has actually commenced. This, of course, started on the 15th of October, and the drilling commenced on the first of 4 planned holes, part of the phase 1 drilling program. following which, of course, the samples will be taken to a lab and will be sort of examined and assessed for the content, and that will then determine the next steps, which will be a feasibility study to develop and to develop the project, and hopefully one day a mining operation will commence there. And of course, the potential valuation against this, when you look at the commodity prices, Paul Johnson described the Malopo Farms complex as a district-style project, and I think that gives some idea of the sheer scale and scope of the project. The area it covers is getting over 2,000 square kilometers. It is a huge area, and of course, as often is found when these geological anomalies are drilled and examined, and they're modelled. That's the great thing nowadays with modern data and examination techniques. The actual 3D modelling shows the actual true nature of the opportunity under the ground, and often these surveys can reveal that what you maybe thought was a 500 square kilometre opportunity has in fact grown to a 1,000 or a 2,000 square metre opportunity. So again, it's at an incredibly exciting juncture for the group. So that summarises where we are with the Malopo Farms. The company, as I say, I'm moving on to the Cameroon project now.
So that was all Botswana. Yeah, that's all one. One location. Yeah,
3 separate projects in Botswana. Now, Paul. When I spoke to Paul, he said this is huge in potential, and this is Cameroon, of course, in Africa. 4 licenses adjacent to with the Nkamhonu and Nada cobalt and nickel deposit, and reviews are underway. Their work is underway to determine again the nature of the opportunity, following which there'll be aeromagnetic surveys undertaken, then soil sampling, or in fact soil sampling may be taken first, but prior to the EM survey, given that it is so close to an existing cobalt and nickel deposit. So again, that's progressing well. We had some news. This was yesterday, of course, the Canadian silver project. So we're jumping now to Canada. And again, this is the nature of Power Metal. It is a truly global entity. So Canada is it's called the Silver Peak Project. It's in British Columbia, and it's a portfolio of claims across an area in which the Eureka Victoria Silver Mine is located. And quite an historic mine, this one. It was the first Crown-granted mineral property in the region, and Power Metal announced yesterday that they have selected a drilling contractor, a Canadian drilling company, and they're going to drill an initial 500-meter diamond core program, and the contractor is expected to kick off in the next few days. Soil sampling has been undertaken, and again, I think the use of language really intimates just how much potential there is there. The sampling revealed 10,000 grams per ton on one 50-meter section, and a sample of copper and lead, and another 50-meter sample came in at just under 15,000 grams per ton, which is incredible. And again, a smattering of copper and a larger smattering of lead there too. Paul Johnson described these as bonanza grades, and clearly it's in an existing region where there is an existing mine, so there is clearly huge potential here. Drilling's underway, so again, we're going to get some news in the next few weeks. I mentioned Malopo. We're going to get some news in the next few weeks on Malopo, and also we're going to get some news on the Canada Silver Project. So huge progress there. So we then move back to Africa. So I'm bouncing all over the place,
but around the world, yep.
And of course, we have yet to talk about Australia, which I will do so when we start talking about Red Rock Resources. So we then have the in the DRC we have the Kasinga copper project, and again this is a project with vast potential. Power Metal Resources holds 70% of this. By the way, I go back to Canada quickly. Power Metal owns 30% of the Canada Silver Peak project. So just people taking notes, just important to note that down. So we have a copper and cobalt project in the DRC, and a near on 7 kilometer copper anomaly has been identified in the Kasinga copper project. So this is an incredibly exciting step for this region, and the developments to date, copper and cobalt assay results are pending from a 2020 program where sampling was undertaken, and there is an opportunity to convert the license there to an exploration permit with a 25-year life. So again, huge potential there. We will get some updates on that, I'm sure, before the end of the year. Staying in Africa, we're moving on to Tanzania, and we then move on to the Haneti nickel project, which is it's nickel. It's nickel primarily. It's also copper, the platinum metal group, precious metals, and gold as well. So huge potential here. This is a joint venture with Katora Resources, and Power Metal have bought into a 35% holding in the entity. And again, this is, this really dwarfs in terms of the area anything else that Power Metal are working on. Some 5,000 square kilometers, and within that area, there's an 80-kilometer long complex with drill-ready nickel sulfide targets. So this is incredibly exciting. The drilling rig there has already been mobilized, and the technical team there are liaising with the Tanzania Ministry of Metals. And of course, all of the developments are subject to outbreaks of COVID and restrictions and delays resulting from that. But nonetheless, these are still progressing. Of course, drilling targets have been identified, so we expect to get some news from Tanzania, from the Haneti joint venture with Katora Gold very soon. So again, this is why Paul Johnson is working all the hours that God sends.
Indeed, yes, and this is maybe the longest segment we've had on a company. I know we haven't finished because we've got the Australia ones, which you'll cross over into Red Rock, but
we then got the USA Alamo Gold project.
Oh, of course, got the USA, yeah.
And that's the final one on the list that I'm going to talk about that's progressing today. So Power Metal have got an opportunity to earn into 75% of this. And it's a package of mining claims covering 766 acres, and is prospective for gold, following the discovery of gold nuggets at or near to the surface by the current owner. A reconnaissance survey was conducted during the summer, and an exploration program is being planned for development going forward. So again, there will be news on this in the near future, but an incredibly exciting development from the USA. So we've got that package of opportunities. We've got the ownership levels that Power Metal have in each of these projects, and the company currently sits with the valuation of 16 million. Now, look at the metal prices. Look at where these projects are. Any one of these projects, if there's a discovery of any one of these projects, the potential in the ground could dwarf the current market cap, and that's that's what is so exciting about this company, that it has a range of projects, diversified projects. So it's diversified both around the world and across the base and precious metals that are in the ground at each project. Any one of these projects progresses, and there's a solid drilling result, which I might add is expected in every single project, and it's going the subsequent push, I believe, will dwarf the current market cap. So the currently interest in the company started at the beginning of the year. It's pushed on through the summer, and then of course the company started to make these project acquisitions, given the impact that COVID crisis is having on fiscal currencies around the world. So this spread of risk means that the company is exposed to commodities in the ground that will be extracted as the coming years progress.
Huge spread of risk all over the world. It's like 9 projects, isn't it? They've got and current and active drill programs. There's currently 2 active drill programs underway. And yeah, I agree. Like you say, if even just one of those 9 returns some amazing results, then that in itself is company transformational.
And I think the other thing to note is that Paul Johnson, over the past few weeks, has been buying shares himself.
Of course, yeah.
He's bought something like £35,000 to £40,000 worth of shares out of his own money, and he will continue to do this. He's any opportunity he gets, he buys into the market. The company's also raised something like 130,000 in warrant sales, in warrants being exercised over the past few months as well. So warrants that came out of deals to buy the projects, to earn into the projects, or to buy into the projects. A lot of these warrants are being exercised because the holders are seeing the potential at this level. And of course, you saw the share price shoot up to 2.5p early this week. It's come back to 2p now. So, I mean, really anything around this level, I think, is incredibly good value. And I think probably of all the companies we discuss and talk about, this has got the greatest potential of them all right now as we stand.
Well, there you go. There we go. Okay, excellent. And we're not done yet because we've got to talk about Australia. But I know we best move on to Red Rock and cover it there.
Indeed. So Red Rock Resources. Andrew Bell, of course, is the chairman and chief executive at Red Rock Resources, just as he's also the chairman at Power Metal Resources too. Again, Red Rock are a diversified resource company, and Andrew, when I spoke to him a few weeks ago, described this very much as a company with a tripod of interests. It has three key projects that are driving value forward. Going to talk first of all about Kenya. They have a 100% economic interest in the Migori gold project in Kenya, and a 75% project interest. There is a JORC resource at the Migori gold project, a JORC resource estimate of 1.2 million ounces of gold, and that's gold within the Kenyan greenstone belt. Now, of course, COVID and movement restrictions in the country really shut operations down. But the company's come to life very much so in the past 6 to 8 weeks, and for good reason. Andrew and the team published an update or an operational update on the 12th of October, and said, the past 6 months the past 6 months has been a difficult but transformational time for the company. And he said it was well known that a few months ago our stock looked cheap because there was uncertainty as to whether we'd be able to progress any of our projects, and literally within a 6 to 8 week period that turned around. So the company has returned to the camp and the camp and the vehicles in Kenya are being sort of prepped for the resumption of work by the exploration team, and a data room is set up, ready, and the material that they currently have is being upgraded. So of course the next step is to progress and undertake sampling activities and aeromagnetic surveys just to confirm the data from the previous owners. The company early this year raised £1 million, and they placed 125 million shares at 0.8p, and of course the shares currently are trading at exactly that. So they've not really pushed on from that, and of course there are. The company also issued 12.5 million warrants to First Equity, who were pivotal in that raise. So of course we can expect to see warrants being exercised going forward as the company progresses the projects. The Migori Gold Project also includes the Makolda Tailing Project, which is the tailing project is adjacent to, as you'd expect, to the historical Makolda copper and gold mine. So that also forms part of the project overall. So, huge potential there. A 1.2 million JORC resource estimate for the gold that's in the ground there, and a great deal more potential within the tailings as well. So that's leg one of the tripod. Okay. So we then come to Congo, which is the a copper and cobalt JV there, where Red Rock Resources has a 50% interest with which includes the Massanou, the Kamakongo, and the Kasombo South projects. There are 3 copper and cobalt licenses in the heart of the Katanga region, which is the Katanga segment in the Central Africa Copper Belt. And if you go to the Red Rock Resources website, there's a very good map that shows the positioning of these license areas in relation to the other mines that are operating in the area, and these include China Non-Ferrous Gold, Barrick Gold, FE Limited, First Quantum Minerals. So there are basically 7 major copper and cobalt deposits within 5 kilometers of the license areas. So again, it's an extremely fertile block of territory. There's been some 80 years of mining in the area. The nearby Kasanchi mine produced 251,000 tons of copper in 2018, and there's an estimated 400,000 tons of copper and 25,000 tons of cobalt in situ, with a potential value of 125 billion. So that's enormous. I mean that dwarfs anything that we've talked about this morning to date. So very exciting. There has been an issue here in regard to the licenses with the government, and when I spoke to Andrew, he said they had a lawyer on the ground there who's basically been a tiger of a lawyer. He described him as, and he has resolved long-standing issues which had arisen regarding partnership matters with the partner in the DRC project. And these have been overcome. The government have been the Congo government are satisfied with the work that the lawyers undertaken, and they're now in a position to appoint a manager, an in-country manager at the project, and also to set up an office at the project too. So of course, once that happens, there'll be the next steps of developing the project to soil sampling stage, and then of course to aeromag surveys if required. But there is so much existing data in place, they may be able to just go in and commence work without and fast track the project, given that it's within such close proximity to the other operating majors in the area. So very exciting opportunity there. So we, I should say as well that there is also a partnership. The company owns a very small stake in Jupiter Mines, where Andrew Bell is also a director. And Jupiter Mines, it's the manganese shipping mine, which is in the area. the mine was shut down in April, but manganese is now being produced. There's a high dividend yield, and Red Rock's holding at that mine is valued at $2.2 million. So again, whilst the production has been delayed due to COVID, it's one of the lowest cost manganese mines in the world, and production is slowly getting back on track in that area. So that if you like, it's a bit of a cash cow for Red Rock Resources, in that it just brings in this steady income, steady dividend income, and of course the ownership and the interest there really helps provide a cornerstone for Red Rock as it builds.
I know, and I've spoken to Andrew in the past. It is very much sort of a passive project where it's just a nice, a pretty decent steady dividend regularly as well, which is great for a company like Red Rock to have.
It is indeed. So that's the important part of it. So we now finally come to the Red Rock Australasia project, which is 49.9% owned by Power Metal and 50.1% owned by Red Rock Resources. So these are a series of license applications in the Victoria region, and of course, Mark, we've discussed the Victoria region at length before, both with Power Metal and of course with ECR Minerals. This is a hugely fertile area for gold. Its progress has been delayed on many projects in Victoria over the summer because of the COVID lockdown, which was it was a complete lockdown. And if people came into the territory, then there was a 14-day isolation period. So it effectively stopped anything from happening. But again, go to either Power Metal or Red Rock Resources website, and you'll see a very good map showing where the project areas are. There's just under 2,200 square kilometres in the Ballarat area, and of course, anyone who's listened to the podcast, both for ECR Minerals and for Power Metal in the past, will know about the Ballarat area because Ballarat has a producing gold mine, and it's been producing gold. I think something like 11 million ounces of gold have been produced in the Ballarat area since the mid 19th century. All the license areas have extensive evidence of gold mineralization. Other mines in the area include the Fosterville mine, of course, which is owned by Kirkland Lake Gold. And Kirkland Lake Gold's valuation, once they bought the mine, went from the mid-millions up to, I think, 4 or 5 billion. It may be more than that now, but there's a huge amount of activity with companies across here, across the region. Of course, we know earlier this year, Fosterville South, the TSX listed company, listed. They bought the Avoca, Timor, and Mournbull projects from ECR Minerals, and they're currently making progress at the Golden Mountain project, and the sampling there has come back with some great results. I won't go into the details of the ECR Creswick and Baillieston projects. Suffice to say, I think it's well known the gold samples and the level of gold that's been sampled already in both those areas. So it's an incredibly exciting time for this joint venture. And again, the venture has been progressed. The company has appointed David Holden as exploration manager in the area, and David he's a seasoned veteran, having worked for the New Zealand government and a number of regional gold companies. He's basically been. He retired, and then I think, given the activity in the area, he then came back to work, and he was most recently working as a mining geologist at the Ballarat Gold Mine. And Ballarat Gold Mine, of course, is owned by Lion Gold. So that's an active producing mine. The geology from the Ballarat area runs through both the Creswick prospect that's owned by ECR Minerals, and also the most northerly aspect of the Red Rock Australasia joint venture. The Ballarat Buninyong gold property, there are 4 licenses which cover the southern extension of that geological anomaly to the west and the east of the Ballarat goldfield. And again, this project is progressing, and we expect to hear more news from determination of drill targets and soil sampling going forward in the next few months. So that's the third part of the Red Rock Resources tripod. Just to go through the board of the company again. We, of course, got Andrew Bell, as I've said. Andrew is a pretty dynamic individual when it comes to mining companies, also involved on the board of Greatland Gold and Regency Mines, as well as Jupiter Mines. His non-exec is a chap called Michael Knott, who's a geologist and mining engineer, also a director at AIM-listed Alba Resources. 2 non-exec directors, Scott Keynes is on the board of Regency Mines and Curzon Energy, former US Air Force officer, which he's got a pretty colourful career, which you'll see if you look on the Red Rock Resources website. And Sam Quinn, who's a non-exec director. I know Sam he's a non-exec at Glencoe Resources. He's director at Tectonic Gold, which of course made an announcement this morning on their work in Queensland, Australia, and Trident Resources. Now, Red Rock Resources is currently has a market cap of just on 6.5 million. And again, I think just going back to the power metals analogy, any one of these licenses progresses and produces, it's going to dwarf the current market cap. Australia is incredibly exciting, and I've done an awful lot of research into the Victoria region and the developments there, and it's literally like a new gold run. It's visually you can imagine people turning up with buckets and spades and just big hats and drink packs on their back and going out into the outback. But,
well, there is that TV show, isn't it, Aussie Gold Hunters, and that is basically chaps like you just said with a metal detector and a packed lunch.
Exactly that, and people literally are that they'll walk around the streams in the region. Must be a headache for the local landowners, by the way, but that's another story. And they'll literally sit and they'll prospect in the streams there, and you'll get gold particles, and if you're prepared to work at it, then you can walk away with a nice little lump at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely, and. Am I right in understanding as well that the restrictions are easing now, particularly internally in Australia? Is that right?
Yes, they have. The restrictions have been lifted. The travel restrictions are more or less back to normal. But of course, there's always a risk of further lockdown. But of course, it's the Australian summer, and as we know, the threat of COVID, I think, given our experience, will diminish with the summer. So one would hope that they've got a period of work ahead of them that'll be uninterrupted by the threat of COVID. Just to finish off with Red Rock Resources, the company does have a number of other minor interests. We mentioned, of course, the Jupiter mine. In 2015, the company had the El Limon project in Colombia, which is sold to the Sama Gold Corporation for $5 million. $3 million is payable in production royalties, and there is an anticipated 746,000 ounces of gold there, and of course anything that's produced from the El Limon project will find some of it will find its way into the Red Rock coffers. Has a 4.5% stake in Elephant Oil, which is onshore oil exploration at Benin, Africa, and currently drill targets are being defined there from the two-dimensional seismic data that's been collected. But these are very much a background interest, and of course, as we know with background interest, someday they can bring a nice little lump sum of earnings into the company and drive the company forward. But The three tripods for Red Rock, as I say, are the Australian project, the Kenyan Gold Migori project, and the Congo DRC copper and cobalt project. And we expect to hear more news from Red Rock in the coming months.
Well, Alan, well done. You get a drink of water after all of that. That was a long one.
I'm owed a coffee, I think, yes.
Yes, yeah, get a coffee, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's so much going on, particularly with Power Metal Resources, that I don't think you can do it any quicker, really. And I guess it'll be irregular as well because, yeah, almost every week something sort of happening or changing there, something to talk about.
I think that's it, Mark. With these companies where you have these projects at various stages, it's important to look at the underlying demand for the commodity, the underlying demand, the demand for precious metals is well established. But we do seem to have a sustained bull case for the junior mining sector at the moment, given everything that's happening in the world. So, and I've said this before, projects that would be under the circumstances, say, of a year ago, they'd be considered uneconomic, and the projects would have lain dormant. All of a sudden, these projects are being looked at again, simply because the price of the underlying commodity has risen, and it then becomes economically viable to get the stuff out of the ground. So, and of course, that's the great thing about Power Metal. They're doing that on many levels. So they are, they are very well positioned to be a multi-asset, polymetallic, mid-cap mining, exploration and development company. So really exciting stuff. And Red Rock, the certainly in Australia, I think the excitement's all there. But when I spoke to Andrew, he was very excited about Kenya and Congo too. So good.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, Alan, I think we probably best leave it there. Thank you very much for all of that this morning.
Thank you, Mark.
And I'm sure we'll catch up next week, I guess.
Indeed,
right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Alan.
Speak next week. Thanks, Mark. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.